Good afternoon. Welcome to Mumford Middle School. First up, we have Jayshell Milani with our welcoming.
Good afternoon. My name is Jayshell Milani, and this is your welcome and occasion. It is my great pleasure to greet you on behalf of our principal, Mr. Blessing, and our administrative team, as well as our program sponsors. Today, we will celebrate the accomplishments of some African Americans who have impacted the lives of so many. You will hear about the first Black Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall. You will hear about Maya Angelou, a famous poet. You will hear about a famous Christian hip-hop artist, Lecrae, who has broken musical barriers. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a musical selection by the MMS Chorus, and let us not forget to rock to the wonderfully choreographed dance routines by Ms. Tracy Hines. We also welcome parents, guests, and our speaker, Coach Kes McCorvey, a former FSU football player. He now currently coaches and works with the FCA. On February 12, 1926, American historian Carter G. Woodson established Black History Week to recall and celebrate the positive contributions to our nation made by the people of African descent. For many years, we've set aside the second week of February for this celebration, coinciding with the birthday of abolitionist Frederick Douglass. In 1976, the week was expanded into Black History Month. Our theme is a century of Black life, history, and culture, which reflects 100 years of remembering the contributions of African Americans to the world. Still today, African American contributions are just as significant as centuries ago. Over the past century, the recognition of African American contributions to life, history, and culture has become major forces in the United States and in the world. In 1926, you could have imagined that African Americans people would be appreciated by a global community, entertainment, art, and literature. Thank you.
Next up, we have the MMS Chorus with an opening song. Next up, we have Nyland Close reading about Maya Angelou.
Maya Angelou was born Marguerite Johnson in St. Louis, Missouri on April 4th, 1928. She grew up in St. Louis and Stamps, Arkansas. She was an author, poet, historian, songwriter, playwright, dancer, stage and screen producer, director, performer, singer, and civil rights activist. She was best known for her 7 autobiographical books, Mom and Me and Mom, Letter to My Daughter, All God's Children Need Traveling Shoes, The Heart of a Woman, Singing and Swinging and Getting Merry Like Christmas, Gathered Together in My Name, and I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing, which is nominated for the National Book Award. In 1959, at the request of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Angelou became the Northern Coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. From 1961 to 1962, she was Associate Editor of the Arab Observer in Cairo, Egypt, the only English-language news weekly in the Middle East. And from 1964 to 1966, she was Feature Editor of the African Review in Accra, Ghana. She returned to the United States in 1974 and was appointed by Gerald Ford to the Bicentennial Commission, and later by Jimmy Carter to the Commission for International Woman of the Year. She accepted a lifetime appointment in 1982 as Reynolds Professor of the African American Studies at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In 1993, Angelou wrote and delivered a poem on the pulse of the morning at the inauguration for President Bill Clinton at his request. In 2000, she received the National Medal of Arts, and in 2010, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. The first Black woman director in Hollywood, Angelou wrote, produced, directed, and starred in productions for stage, film, and television. In 1971, she wrote the original screenplay and musical score for the film Georgia, Georgia, and was both author and executive producer of a 5-part television miniseries, Freeway Choice. She also wrote and produced several prize-winning documentaries, including Afro-Americans in the Arts, a PBS special for which she received the Golden Eagle Award. Angelou was twice nominated for a Tony Award for acting, once for her Broadway debut in Look Away in 1973, and again for her performance in Roots in 1977. Angelou died on May 28, 2014 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where she had served as Reynolds Professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University since 1982. She was 86.
Next up, we have our distinctive daughters reading about phenomenal love.
Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty woman, wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I am a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please. Into a man, the fellow stand, I fall down on their knees. They form around me, I'm high the honeybees. I say, it's with fire in my eyes, the flash in my teeth, the swing in my waist, and the joy in my feet. I am a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. So I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the rise of my breast, and the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Now you understand just why my head is not bowed. I don't shout or jump about, or have to talk real loud. When you see me passionate, it ought to make you proud. I said, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, and the even of my hair. Because I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. Period.
Next up, we have Desmond Johnson in the lead for the selection.
Yeah, Destiny.
Everest is only a mountain. A pyramid is just a shell. Doesn't have to hold you back, doesn't have to pin you down. Let your dreams take flight in the heart, ignite. You know that it's true. Everything is possible. There's nothing we can do. It's a wild and beautiful fire, and I believe in you. And I believe in you. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Just dream out and shout and follow the stars. Forget about the past, that it's all who we are. The young ones always know us. Who keeps tabs on stupid mistakes? We all mess up, but that's just the way. We learn how to get back up. We learn how to turn the page. Let our dreams take flight in the heart, ignite. Did you know that it's true? Everything is possible. There's nothing we can do. It's a wild and beautiful fire, and I believe in you. And I believe in you. Let your dreams take flight in the heart, ignite. Did you know that it's true? Everything is possible. There's nothing we can do. It's a wild and beautiful fire, and I believe in you. And I believe in you. And I believe in you.
Next up, we have Tanaya, who will be reading about Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall, Supreme Court Justice. Born in Baltimore, Maryland on July 2nd, 1908, Thurgood Marshall was the grandson of a slave. His father, William Marshall, instilled in him from his youth an appreciation for the United States Constitution and the rule of law. After completing high school in 1925, Thurgood followed his brother, William Aubrey Marshall, at the historically black Lincoln University in Chester County, Pennsylvania. His classmates at Lincoln included a distinguished group of future black leaders such as the poet and author Langston Hughes, the future president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, and musician Cab Calloway.
Just before graduation, he was married his first wife, Vivian Buster Bury. Their 25-year marriage ended with her death from cancer in 1955. In 1930, he applied to the University of Maryland Law School, but he was denied admission because he was black. This was an event that was to haunt him and direct his future professional life. Thurgood sought admission and was accepted into Howard University Law School the same year and came under the immediate influence of the dynamic new dean, Charles Hamilton Houston, who instilled in all of his students a desire to apply the tenets of the Constitution to all Americans. Paramount in Houston's outlook was the need to overturn the 1898 Supreme Court ruling Plessy v. Ferguson, which established the legal doctrine called separate but equal. Marshall's first major court case came in 1933 when he was successfully sued the University of Maryland to admit a young African-American Amherst University graduate named Donald Gaines Murray. Applying Marshall's victory, author H.L. McKinnon wrote, "The decision of denial by University of Maryland and law schools brutal and absurd, and they should not object to the presence among themselves of self-respecting and ambitious young Afro men well prepared for his studies by 4 years of hard work in a Class A college." Until his retirement from the highest court in the land, Justice Marshall established a record for supporting the voiceless American, having on his skills since the case against the University of Maryland. He developed a profound sensitivity to the injustice by way of the crucible of racial discrimination in this country. As an Associate Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall leaves a legacy that expands the early sensitivity to include all of Americans voiceless. Justice Marshall died on January 24, 1992.
Next up, we have a performance by our MMS students.
Yeah, you want to